Hello and welcome to the Global Fashion Workshop channel. I remind you that we release a new video 3 times a week. Here's a sketch. Look at the sketch. I used the basic pattern. It's a one-piece sleeve with a side panel. This pattern is rare. I have already made a dress with this cutting. Once I cut a jacket with a raglan sleeve on the back block, which moved to a yoke. It seems complicated. A lot of books consist of a lot of information about such cutting, but I developed some methods to make the difficult cutting easier. I want to share this knowledge with you today. So let's continue our drafting lessons. It's a one-piece sleeve with a side panel. I used the basic pattern. It's not a dolman sleeve, which we made without a paper pattern. No, here is the basic pattern. Here's the sleeve. We're going to draft this pattern. I'm trying to move the side seam a little to the front to make the front and the back blocks similar. A waist, the center front, the center back. I need to close the dart. It's temporary dart transferring. It's my favorite technique. I call it the temporary dart transfer. In order to make it all in one, we'll make the one-piece sleeve, the front piece, the back part, the sleeve. We need the front and back blocks and the sleeve. So, with this cutting, the fitting never changes. In this place, at the top of the armhole, there's no seam for the sleeve insertion. This pattern is absolutely elegant. And of course, it's rare. Why? Because only expensive brands are using this pattern. Mass market and midi-range brands are avoiding this cutting because it's complicated. For example, I've hardly ever seen such a cut in the streets. I've only made this cutting for our customers. Well, I haven't seen them after that. The front piece and the back piece. You need to learn this cutting. If you want to improve your skills, don't be afraid of this cutting. It's good. The garment looks expensive and trendy. Here's the sleeve. I'll make it longer by 43 centimeters for this sketch. The sleeve is prepared the same way as for a raglan sleeve. The center of the sleeve. I removed 7 to 8 centimeters in length and 12 millimeters in width. The line is not straight, it's rounded a little. I repeat once again, we prepare this sleeve the same way as for a raglan sleeve. You already know this. Because I've released a lot of videos about sleeves. This is my sleeve. It's ready. I can attach it to the front pieces. In this lesson, of course, I transfer our patterns onto the tracing paper and we'll get the patterns ready. Here's the front piece. I attach it the same way as for the raglan. You can see it here. Why do we remove these excesses from the cap here? Because we don't need this fit in the sleeve. I reduced the fit. Take a look here. I attach one piece to another here, so this ease is evenly distributed. Look, you can't attach it like this to make it open here. It's wrong. This ease goes smoothly from the connection point here and there. First, I attach sleeves. Here you can make any cut you like. I'm talking about this particular design. I'm not working with the neckline right now because we've made a lot of different necklines. I attach the sleeve to the back piece. Let's look here. I attach it to the back piece. What's next? I mark a point here where our sleeve goes to the front piece. Do you see it? It's here. I mark this point and mark that point. Here it is, 1, 2, 3. It looks like a chicken scratch, but these are temporary notes. I mark this point on the back. Here our sleeves are crossed. The back block goes here and the sleeve there. Look, they're crossed here, and this is that point. I fold our sleeve and draft a side through those points. Look, it's the attached side here. So I draw a line through those 2 points to the bottom of the blouse, like so. I won't do this dart here. I'll draw it here. I will make it there. So look what I'm doing. I cut the side. Look what I've done. I put the side away. Look, the side pattern is ready. But we'll continue to work here. You should try to keep at least 1.5 centimeters here, like so. Look here. This is the bust dart. It goes from this point. It's slightly angled. You just close the bust dart the same way. Here you close it and open it here. I want to make it longer here by 5 millimeters. Why do we need that? Because the distance between the sleeve and the basic should be a little longer. Later you'll understand why. Look here, you should always leave some space here. Secure the side with a tape. When you draw this line, make it more concave. This is our side. It's ready. I'll also put it aside. Look, I temporarily removed the dart here. I opened it there. Look at the sketch. Look at the side. Here is the piece of the bust dart. I do the same with the back block. Later, I'll put those pieces on new tracing paper, trace them, and show the new pattern. Next, I'm putting a point here. Not here, but there. I fold this piece. I draw a line through this point. It's a side. I won't make a dart here. I'll make it here. I cut the side. Please draw an accurate line and cut it accurately. As for me, if I draw a jagged line, I'll cut it accurately. Look what I've done. I cut the side panel through those points. I write down the names of the pieces. It's difficult to confuse because of the different shapes. It's a front block, the side, it's a back block, and side. These two pieces are ready. I'll put them away. Later, you'll see those details in the finished garment. This cutting is difficult, but if a professional tailor shows you the whole process, it won't be difficult for you. Let's take a tracing paper, the back part. This is the back block. It's not clear how the finished garment will look. Save the waistline on all pieces, please. We'll get back to this question later, and I'll tell you which points should match. This is our back block. Do you see how our current pattern has changed from the basic pattern? The waistline. We should keep this distance here. We changed the pattern a little. Do you see? I cut the front block and said which points should match and on what you should pay attention to. In my opinion, this pattern is awesome. What else? The back block is ready. Sides are ready. I need to make the same front block. I drew the back block. Our pattern is not complete, and it's not clear to you, but it's okay. Just wait a little. I'll trace it for your understanding. A waist. Look here, up to this point where the sleeve crossed with the front block, we need to leave 7 millimeters from both sides to the seam. Here's the neckline. I mean here. Now I'll start cutting. This is the point where the sleeve crossed with the front block. Look, I cut our pattern. Well, if I continue to use this pattern for another cut, of course I'll have to make another neckline here later. I haven't made any cuts here. Today's video will be interesting for you. This is the center front. This is the center front and the edge of the pattern. We started from the easiest to the hardest topics. I want to name these points. This point is the waist. This point is the waist. They match. I want to call this point 1, for example. This point, it's the top of the side. I want to call it 1. This point 1 should match with this point 1. Do you see it here? This point should match with this point. I have to add 1 centimeter to the seam. I'll add it to the seam as much as I can. Here I'll make a notch, a little notch. This point should match with this point. Now I'll tell you about the further actions. The back piece. Here's the back piece. Here's the side of the back piece. Waist and waist should match. Look at them. I call this point 2, and this point I call 2. This point should match with this point. You can see it here. Pay your attention and look at me. Those points should match, and those points should match, but the side seam doesn't match with the inside sleeve seam. That's why we attach this side to this point. Turn it a little here by 1.5 centimeters, but don't connect this point with this. I repeat once again, don't connect this point with this one. They do not match. the inside seam with the inside seam of the sleeve. When we made the upper and lower seams, this part, which goes from the front block side panel to the beginning of the back block side panel, was laid in a circle. It's the bottom of the armhole. By the usual method, and we usually attach sleeves, as we usually attach them. This is the biggest mistake, trying to match those points. As a result, one side was stretched, and on the second side we get excesses. Please don't match those points. This is the side seam. It's sewn here. This bottom part of the armhole matches with the sleeve at least. We'll talk about sewing later. It's just an ordinary bottom part of the sleeve. It's made just like the set-in sleeve. The bottom part of the sleeve is made like a set-in sleeve. So I showed you how to make this pattern using the basic pattern. This pattern gives a good fit to a garment. If you have our 10 measurements cutting system or another one, you'll never make a mistake in drafting. So we made a drafting and got this perfect blouse with a one-piece sleeve and a side panel. I like this cut so much. Our pattern is ready. The front piece, the front side, the back piece, the back side. That's it. I'm ready to make the blouse. I want to make a 3/4 length sleeve. Maybe I'll make it narrow here, but later at the fitting. The pattern is ready. Look at the sketch. The one-piece sleeve with a side panel is difficult cutting, but we have already drafted it. Our pattern is ready. I want to use this pattern for myself. Thank you for watching. All the best from Irina Paukšte and the rest of our team. Паукштрина Михайловна и вся наша команда.